This opening testimony quietly destroys the father's credibility before the court even reaches the bigger allegations. The department never presents him as simply struggling. They frame him as unpredictable, evasive, and emotionally unsafe. That distinction matters. Courts can work with addiction.
Not very often. We attempted many times to do home visits. The worker sent text messages, phone calls to Mr. Otero Bunker, and there was no response.
Okay. And in the times you were able to have contact with him, was he cooperative or was he combative?
He was combative.
Okay. And what was his presentation like?
He didn't seem like he had time to talk to us about the concerns in the report. And when we attempted to, the urgency of needing a safe place for Isaiah was not, um, he was not, he didn't agree with that. He didn't think Isaiah was unsafe.
Okay. And where was he living at the time?
He was living with his mother, Miss Frances Newton.
Okay. And you briefly touched on, but did you have specific concerns about that living situation at the time of the investigation?
Yes.
And what were those?
There were concerns for bed bugs in the home.
Okay. In addition to the father's presentation, were there
Correct.
concerns about the grandmother's ability to be a protective safety factor?
Yes.
What were those?
She expressed fear of her son, Mr. Otero Bunker. He had reportedly assaulted her at some point, and she herself was in detox for alcohol use.
Okay. And how would you describe the relationship between Mr. Otero Bunker and his mother?
Uh, very, very conflicting. They didn't seem to get along very well.
Okay. What was Isaiah's condition?
He appeared clean. He didn't have marks or bruises on him.
Okay. Were there nonetheless concerns for his safety due to the living situation?
Yes.
And was he exposed to the conflict between his father and his grandmother?
Yes, he was present.
Okay. And you indicated there was also a concern about bed bugs in the home?
Yes.
Okay. Was the department able to discuss the allegations on the referral with him?
Yes, we eventually were.
And what was his response?
He said that someone crawled into his window and spiked his food.
Okay. And did that cause you to have concerns about his ability to safely parent Isaiah?
Yes.
Okay. What were the concerns?
He downplayed his drug use, gave an reason why he thought he was positive.
Okay. And that reason was not credible to the department.
Correct.
Okay. And did you have the opportunity to offer any kind of services to avoid taking further court action?
Yes.
And did he agree to any services?
No.
Okay. Um, was that part of an effort to safety plan so that the conservatorship case did not have to be filed?
Yes.
Okay. And did you attempt to secure a relative or fictive kin placement when you deemed the living situation be inappropriate?
Yes, we did.
And who was that with?
Miss Brittany Denny.
Okay. Um, was that through a PCSP or was it informal?
We attempted to do a formal parental child safety placement with her.
Okay, as had been done in the past.
Correct.
What happened with that?
Mr. Otero Bunker didn't seem to want us to use her. We tried to do a safety plan, and he was not cooperative in giving us any names to supervise. We talked to him about a PCSP. I believe he and Miss Denny talked. Mr. Otero Bunker wanted her to get CPS out of their lives in a plan behind CPS's back.
And did Ms. Denny was she ambivalent also?
Yes.
Okay. And then is that when the decision to file for TMC was made?
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Otero Bunker agree or did he contest at the adversary hearing?
He contested.
Okay. And did anything unusual occur? in your experience at that adversary hearing?
Yes.
What was that?
The court considered a possible order to participate in family-based services if Mr. Bunker would agree. The court recessed for a week to allow us to work with him, to give him some more time to follow through with that possible PCSP with Miss Denny.
Okay. And were you able to follow through with the proposed placement?
No.
And why was that?
Mr. Bunker was not cooperative in getting that information to us.
Okay. Did you also attempt to meet with the placement at her home?
Yes.
And anything unusual occurred during that meeting?
Yes.
What was that?
When we arrived at the home of Miss Denny, her husband answered the door and stepped outside and told us that Miss Denny was she had left about 3 days later, possibly 3 days later. I'm not sure on the days, but she had been gone for several days. He didn't know where she was, didn't have her phone with her. He didn't know what was going on.
Okay. And then what happened when court reconvened the following week?
Miss Denny testified in the court hearing. The court ordered a home study, and we placed Isaiah in foster care. And then Mr. Otero Bunker fired his attorney. Okay.
In light of all the surrounding circumstances and what occurred at the adversary hearing, did you believe there was a danger to Isaiah's physical health and safety caused by the father's mental health, suspected substance use, and his unstable living situation?
Yes.
Okay. And was it contrary to Isaiah's welfare to be returned to his father at that time?
Yes.
And why was that?
Being in a home without any department intervening, Isaiah could have developed behavioral issues. He could have struggled in school, and he could have been worried about, what his father was going to do the next time he used drugs.
The failed safety placement became one of the most damaging turning points in the entire hearing because it exposed control issues underneath the father's behavior. CPs was actively trying to avoid removal, and the court even paused proceedings to give him extra time.
Okay. And did the urgent need for Isaiah's protection require his immediate removal?
Yes.
And what reasonable efforts were made at the time to prevent removal?
We attempted a safety plan for Mr. Otero Bunker to be supervised, and we also attempted a parental child safety placement.
Okay. And you indicated that Mr. Otero Bunker was not receptive to services at the time that you filed. Is that right?
Correct. He contested.
Okay. And would you say that Mr. Otero Bunker knowingly placed Isaiah or allowed him to remain in conditions that endangered Isaiah?
Yes.
Did he knowingly engage in conduct that placed Isaiah at risk?
Yes.
Was that primarily the drug use?
Yes.
And also the conflict with his mother in the home?
Yes.
Okay. And were proper inquiries made to Mr. Otero Bunker and anyone else with knowledge whether Isaiah was a member or eligible for membership in a Native American tribe for the purposes of the Indian Child Welfare Act?
Yes.
And was there any reason to believe following your inquiry that the Indian Child Welfare Act applied in this case?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Nowak, any questions?
Judge, I don't have any questions. That may be the same with most of the witnesses. A lot of appeals are based on ineffective assistance of counsel, but that goes both ways. I have had zero contact with my client other than March 10th, right after our last hearing. That's my long way of saying no questions, Judge. Thank you so much.
All right, sir. Okay, Ms. Zavala.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right. And just as I know that it initially early on in the case, there was some discussion about a home study, and then we had some of these issues you've already testified about. But Was a home study ever completed on the grandmother?
No,
Did it appear that what we at least knew at that point in time, that her situation was sort of up in the air as well?
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Was there some discussion about maybe she was going to go through a divorce and
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Was a determination then made that perhaps that was not a stable situation for the child?
Correct.
Okay. Did she ever come back and ask to have that home study amended or anything reconsidered?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not while your involvement.
Correct. Yes.
All right.
And
very good.
Judge, just to clarify, Ms. Brown will be able to testify to the home study that was done as to Ms. Denny.
Okay. All right. Okay then. Anybody else have any further questions for Ms. Allen?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Is Ms. Allen free to be released from our care, possession, and control of her today?
Yes,
As far as as far as the state's concerned, she is, Your Honor.
All right. I'm hearing no objection, Ms. Allen, so you're free to go. Thank you for your time. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Bye.
Okay then, Mr. Graff, who's your next witness?
That would be Ms. Brown, Your Honor. Thank
All
you.
right. Ms. Brown, if you'll raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give on trial today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. All
Ms.
right,
Brown.
you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Brown, what is your current position with St. Francis Ministries?
I'm a program director of permanency.
And how long have you been employed with St. Francis?
I've been here for 4 years.
And you previously were with the department, if I understand correctly. Is that right?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what are your primary duties as permanency specialist, supervisor?
As a supervisor, I would oversee cases with caseworkers underneath me. We would staff monthly the cases, and I would give case direction as needed.
Do you ensure that the permanency specialist creates a family plan of service at the beginning of a case tailored to the specific needs of the parent involved?
Yes.
And as a supervisor, do you also ensure that the specialist has a minimum of monthly contact with children on the case, as well as attempting to see the parents on a monthly basis?
Yes.
Okay. And then do you also ensure that the permanency specialist sets up the service authorizations for the payment of specific services that are provided?
Yes.
And also ensure that the permanency specialist will offer rides and assistance in setting up services as needed?
Yes.
Okay. What training or experience do you have in child welfare, permanency planning, and termination cases?
I have a bachelor's degree in early child development. I have 8 years experience working in child welfare and with all the trainings and the things that were required yearly to accomplish for that.
Okay. And are you familiar with this case involving Isaiah Gonzalez and his father, Anthony Otero Bunker?
Yes.
Okay. And when were you assigned to supervise the case?
I was assigned on May 27th at the removal.
How often did you review the child's case file and the circumstances while it was assigned to you?
It was a minimum of monthly. On this case, I do remember the worker was fairly new and we staffed it often.
Okay. And were you also responsible for overseeing ensuring compliance with Isaiah's permanency plan?
The second witness strengthened the state's position by showing how little actual progress happened after removal. This section matters because courts do not terminate rights over past mistakes alone. They terminate when parents fail to change after being given a roadmap.
Yes.
Okay. And then how much contact has St. Francis and permanency specialists had with Isaiah and his caregivers?
With Isaiah, it would be a minimum of monthly.
Okay. And in this case, was Isaiah sometimes seen more often than monthly?
I believe so, yes, in the beginning.
Okay. And where was he placed following the adversary hearing?
He was placed at the Amarillo Children's Home. I'm sorry, he was placed at High Plains Children's Home.
Okay. And did that placement remain the same while the case has been yours?
No, he had gone into that placement in the emergency shelter, and we subsequently found placement for him in, I believe it was in Lubbock, in a foster home. And that foster home had some issues where they were ultimately shut down. And so he returned back to High Plains Children's Home, where I believe he resides now.
Okay. And has he enjoyed being at, I was actually strike that. How has he done in his placement?
I couldn't testify to recently, but I know that in the beginning of the case, he enjoyed being there. And they really loved him. He would struggle some with his behaviors. A lot of times it was after a visit with his dad.
Okay. And Mr. Ivy will be able to give us some more recent reports on that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And does Isaiah have any special needs?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And did he sign the FPOS, Family Plan of Service, in this case?
The father signed it on July 10th of 2025.
Okay. So that was worked out with him, and he did agree to the services set forth in the Family Plan of Service. Is that right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And was that filed with the court?
Yes, it was filed on July 11th of 2025.
Okay. And what specifically did Mr. Otero Bunker agree to, and what was court order for him as part of the reunification plan?
He agreed to have an OSAR evaluation, to drug testing, to complete drug treatment, individual counseling, a psychological evaluation, Padre parenting education, and provide a clean and appropriate home for Isaiah, and also comply with probation.
And up until the time where Mr. Ivy assumed responsibility on the case, what was Mr. Otero Bunker's level of participation and compliance?
I think he only participated in 2 UAs that were both positive for methamphetamines, and he did not complete any subsequent services.
Okay. And did he demonstrate any behavioral change or improvement?
No.
Did he maintain consistent contact with Isaiah?
No.
Were there any problems with visitations?
Yes, there was. He was late to a few of his visits, and then we had to end a visit early due to him discussing things that were not appropriate regarding the case.
And did visitations have to be stopped at some point? And if so, why?
I believe so. I believe in August, Isaiah did not want to visit with his dad anymore, and he would refuse to get on the call. I don't remember if the court stopped those visits or not.
Okay. Was Mr. Otero Bunker arrested around that time in August of last year? I'm sorry, did we missed your response?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, there was just a little bit of a glitch. It's with your last response. That's why I asked the question again. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you repeat the last question? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I had asked you if Mr. Otero Bunker had been arrested in August of last year.
Yes, he was.
Okay, and that was around the time the visit stopped?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Otero Bunker, was he ever able to provide a safe and stable home environment for Isaiah?
No.
And you indicated he was incarcerated at some point in August of last year. Is that right?
Yes, I believe he was arrested on August 9th.
Okay. Judge, I'm seeing Ms. Brown's, I'm hearing her, but her video is frozen. I'm going to ask if it's okay if she goes off video to just improve the signal.
That'd be fine. She seems to be back now, but Ms. Brown, if you want to go ahead and turn off your video, let's try that.
Thank you. Okay, and so you'd indicated he was incarcerated in August. Do you recall what that was for?
It was a probation violation.
And do you recall about how long he was incarcerated?
It's my understanding that it was about 4 to 5 months.
Okay. And was St. Francis able to communicate with him during his incarceration?
Yes.
And was he able to participate in any services while he was incarcerated?
He reported that while he was at Potter County that there was nothing he could participate in. From there, I'm not sure because I believe the case transferred to Tucker at that time.
This portion exposed how deeply instability had spread into every attempted alternative placement. The failed home study on Miss Denny hurt badly because she was originally presented as the safer option.
Okay. Was he, if you know, was he encouraged to participate in anything available to him that would have complied with court orders in the case during his incarceration?
Yes.
Okay. Now, did St. Francis complete a home study on the family friend, Ms. Denny, at some point?
Yes.
And she was the fictive kin identified by the father as a preferred placement at the adversary hearing, was she not?
That's correct.
And did she pass her home study?
No.
And was that filed with the court?
Yes, it was.
And do you recall the date?
I'm not really sure on the date. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Would it have been maybe July 22nd of 2025?
That would sound about right.
Okay, so that was done completed shortly after the adversary hearing, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, why did she fail her home study?
There were several reasons. When the home assessor went, there was an odor of marijuana coming from the home. Miss Denny denied any drug use, but during the investigation that Brandy that testified to, there were allegations of drug use by Miss Denny, and she refused to submit to a drug test at that time. She had some criminal history that hindered the placement of him being there. Also, Isaiah had adamantly reported to Crystal Potts that he did not want to live with her, that she was mean, and that there was some abuse that happened in that home as well.
Okay. And during the time St. Francis was involved, were there any ongoing concerns about Mr. Otero Bunker's living situation and the issues that caused Isaiah to come into care?
Yes.
And what were those specific concerns?
Well, he was continuing to live with his mother when she was not in rehab, which was a pretty volatile relationship. His mother would call Miss Potts often, explaining that there was lots of confrontation in the home. Also, Mr. Bunker had come into the office at one point with bed bugs falling off of his person.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Pass the witness.
All right. Mr. Novak, any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Judge.
All right. And Ms. Zabala.
Ms. Brown, pretty early on, did Isaiah make it clear that he did not wish to continue visits with his father?
Yes.
At any point, to your knowledge, did Isaiah ever change his position on that?
No, I don't believe so.
No further questions.
All right. Mr. Graff, anything further for this witness?
Nothing further. Ms. Brown may be excused. Thank you, Judge.
Counsel, any objection to her going on about her day?
No objection. Stacy, always good to see you.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Brown, you're free to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And Judge, I just have one additional witness at this time. That'd be Mr. Ivy.
Okay. All right, Mr. Ivy, if you'll raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give on trial today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You may go right ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Tucker. What is your occupation and who are you employed by?
I'm a permanency specialist through St. Francis.
And what's your education and training for that position?
I have a bachelor's degree in social work on top of a year's worth of training on case management and child welfare.
How long have you been with St. Francis?
18 months.
Okay. And are you familiar with Isaiah Gonzalez and his father, Mr. Otero Bunker?
Yes, sir.
How so?
I'm the caseworker for Isaiah and Anthony.
And when were you assigned to be the caseworker for the family?
Late November.
Okay. And what did you do to familiarize yourself with the case upon your assignment?
I read through previous case notes, the previous court reports, and the removal affidavit.
Okay. And did you have any contact with Isaiah and his caregivers?
Yes, sir.
And is that monthly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where's he currently placed?
He's at High Plain Children's Center.
Okay. Was that placement the same throughout your involvement in the case?
Yes, sir.
And how is he doing in his current placement?
Around January, he kind of had a complete turnaround. He was their child of the month. They got some child of the month award, and he got that. And since then, he's been like one of the model kids there. And they say he's like one of the role model kids. And they've recently moved him into a home with kids his own age, like a home on the compound.
Right.
And so,
go ahead.
He's doing amazing. He loves it there. He plays basketball all the time. He started to get into like sports through Kids Inc. And so he's been doing awesome.
That's great. And that's obviously not an adoptive placement. What is his current plan for permanency?
Right now, our plan is to wait for termination in order to start looking into kinship homes. We have people like kinship families that are lined up that are willing to be placement, but we don't want to put him there yet.
And what would have been the obstacles in finding relatives who are willing to take him on?
Mr. Ivy's
Anthony.
testimony changed the emotional momentum of the hearing because for the first time the court heard about Isaiah improving without his father around. That is devastating in termination cases.
Anthony, we did find an aunt and uncle that were willing to be placement, but then Anthony heard that they were going to be placement and they received threatening messages from him and backed out due to safety concerns.
So if his rights were to be terminated, you feel that would increase the likelihood of finding an appropriate relative placement who would be willing to adopt him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And does Isaiah have any special needs?
No, sir.
Okay. And I know we received a court order at the last permanency hearing regarding visitation. So is he currently visiting with his dad?
No, sir.
Okay. And prior to that court order, had there been a period of time where he was not visiting?
Yes, sir.
Why was that?
Isaiah refused visitation, and I think visitation was canceled by us because of Anthony's behaviors.
Okay. And during that time, did Mr. Bunker make any requests or did he have contact with St. Francis?
No, sir.
Okay. How much contact have you had with Mr. Otero Bunker?
In January 9th, when he got out of jail, he messaged me and called me and said that he wanted to do everything he could. And then on the 16th, he said, I can't do this, I'm done. Didn't reply for until I want to say the beginning of March when he said he started wanting to work service again. And I attempted to call him, and he's had 2 different numbers since I've been on this case. He met with me on March, whenever I gave him the family plan, I believe on March 19th. And then I gave him a physical copy on top of the previous copies he's gotten, and he said he was going to get on top of everything. And the last time I heard from him was on April 5th when he was messaging me out the OSAR. And he said he tried to reach out to the OSAR administrator and didn't hear back. And I let him know that I put in the paperwork for her to reach out to him. And I called her this morning, and she said she had reached out but didn't get an answer.
Okay. So he's kind of sounds a little bit like whack-a-mole. He'll resurface and then, but not really do any kind of follow through, even after being given a service plan. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And did the service plan change from the time it was originally created with his cooperation last year?
No, sir.
Okay. You mentioned OSAR and making the referral to OSAR. Were you able to make any other referrals to him when he initially reached out in January?
Yes, sir. The referral for a parenting program through Padre, but he said he couldn't get it scheduled for some reason. I couldn't get a clear answer, but the individual therapy he said he made the call to set it up, but I never got an email or anything from the therapist herself, which is typically how it goes.
Was that kind of a pattern with Anthony since the beginning of this case, where he would indicate that he wanted to work services, but then when it came time for the rubber to meet the road and actually follow through and participate, there was no follow through?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The court ordered him to drug test at our last hearing on March 10th. Were you able to refer him for drug testing?
Yes, sir.
And how did you make that referral?
I put in the service authorization. They sent me the donor pass within an hour, and I sent them to him, and he did not reply. And it was the number that he was talking to me on that day.
So you knew that was a good number at that point in time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so did he follow through with any drug testing?
No, sir.
What is the status of his current compliance with his services in general?
No services completed.
Has he ever even attempted to comply with any service?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Were there any barriers to his participation in services that St. Francis was made aware of?
No, sir.
Okay. Has he demonstrated an ability to provide safe and stable housing for his son since Isaiah was removed?
No, sir.
Has he maintained stable employment?
No, sir.
What concerns remain about his ability to provide a safe and stable home for his son?
When I saw his home last time, it was in poor condition with broken glass. He wouldn't let me inside the home, but when I was able to, he opened the door, I could see there was grime all over the floor, and it had a lot of clutter. There was trash laying around outside. He hasn't shown any proof of income, and he told me every time in the last 3 months, every time I've asked him about his employment, he's always told me that he was looking for work.
Okay. Now, is he still living in the same home he was in at the time of removal, or is this a different home now?
I don't know if he's been in this home consistently, but he's living in that same home, at the same home from the time of removal now, or at least he was when I went and saw him in person. And there was someone else in the home.
Has he been able to sufficiently address any of the root causes that led to removal?
No, sir.
Okay. Has his behavior substantially changed?
No, sir.
What risks would Isaiah face if his father's rights were not terminated?
Going through the same thing he did for his removal. The unstable housing, having to deal with the trauma that his father put him through again.
This section completely closed the door on reunification because the testimony focused on patterns instead of excuses. The worker described a parent who repeatedly claimed he wanted help but never completed even basic follow-through.
Is Isaiah old enough to express any wishes regarding permanency?
Yes, sir.
And what are his wishes?
He would like to be placed with his aunt and uncle, and he does not want to see his dad or his grandma.
And would termination of parental rights affect Isaiah's ability to find a permanent home, potentially with kin?
Yes, sir. Like it would improve it.
Okay. If termination is granted, is that the permanency plan for him to seek out and explore a potential adoptive kinship
Yes, sir.
placement? Okay. And has St. Fran, and you've indicated you've identified potential adoptive placements. Would he be eligible for adoption if his father's parental rights were terminated?
Yes, sir.
And would adoption assure Isaiah's long-term stability and well-being?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else you believe the court should know about Isaiah's circumstances?
No, sir.
In terms of the level of intensity of his desire not to have contact with his father, is this an unusual case in your experience?
Yes, sir.
And is that symptomatic of the type of trauma that this young kid has experienced in his family home?
Yes, sir. I've never seen a kid so adamant about not being with a parental figure.
Okay. And are you satisfied that St. Francis has made reasonable efforts towards reunification and permanency in this case?
Yes, sir.
And in your professional opinion, do you believe that termination of Mr. Otero Bunker's parental rights is in Isaiah's best interest?
Yes, sir.
And why is that?
When we terminate Anthony, we'll be able to look for a permanent place for Isaiah, a place where he wants to go and a place where he'll be safe.
Not Anthony, you mean St. Francis?
Yes, sir.
That's okay. Thank you. No further questions. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Nowak.
Judge, I wish I could ask relevant questions to elicit helpful answers, but the fact of the matter is I've had zero assistance from my client. So I will thank Tucker for always taking my phone calls and for his excellent reports, but I just don't have a question right now to ask, Judge. Thank you.
Understood. All right, Ms. Zavala.
Mr. Ivy, Isaiah has a sister who's a young adult. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And St. Francis has helped facilitate continued contact with her, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's been helpful to Isaiah.
Yes, he loves his visits with his sister. They're both sneakerheads.
And Isaiah is very vocal and is a good advocate for himself, correct?
Yes, ma'am. He'll state his opinions very bluntly.
All right. No further questions.
All right, then. Mr. Groff, anything further of this witness?
No, Judge, and at this time, this state rests and closes.
Okay. Ms. Zavala, anything to, or excuse me, Mr. Nowak, anything to present today?
Judge, I rest. Thank you so much.
All right, and Ms. Zavala?
No witnesses, I rest.
Okay. All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make today?
I do, Your Honor. I believe it's in Isaiah's best interest for his father's parental rights to be terminated at this time. He is doing very well in placement. I appreciate St. Francis keeping his family in the loop. And I believe all of this is in his best interest.
All right, then. Appreciate it. And I do want to hear from Casa.
Yes, ma'am. Isaiah is doing very, very good in placement. He absolutely loves being there. He really does enjoy his visits with his sister. I have zero concerns for him where he's at. I do believe that it is in his best interest for his dad's rights to be terminated. And I do think that that will help kinship placement going forward. I do think that they might be willing to do that from after termination.
All right, thank you so much. And as always, to Casa, we appreciate your time and dedication to our kiddos. All right, then, at this time, as stated earlier, so it's in part of the ruling, we're dismissing the unknown father, obviously, from the case. I do find by clear and convincing evidence that the best interest of the child, Isaiah Gonzalez, is to terminate the father, Anthony Scott Otero Bunker's rights based on Texas Family Code 161.001 subsection D, E, and hang on, I want to make sure I'm saying this right. I still am struggling with the new numbering. Just a minute. I believe it's still in, but yeah. And in grounds. Also, then, of course, the best interest under Texas Family Code 161.001B2. I do find that the department has used reasonable efforts to reunify the family by developing a family plan of service, by attempting visits and contact with the father to encourage him to engage in services, including offering him an avenue to have visits with the child, which he did not seem to take advantage of. I will name the department as permanent managing conservator of the child, dismiss Mr. Nowak from his representation after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire. Ms. Zavala and Casa will remain in the case. And of course, Mr. Nowak, if you're instructed to file an appeal, please don't do that until a final order has been signed and adopted by the referring court.
Yes, Judge.
The ending of the hearing felt less like a debate and more like formal confirmation of a decision the courtroom had already reached emotionally. Nobody meaningfully challenged the state's evidence. The attorney's comments about lacking assistance from his client practically signaled collapse from the defense side. Then, every remaining voice in the room aligned around the same conclusion: Isaiah was thriving away from the chaos. The judge's ruling focused heavily on reasonable efforts, which shows the court wanted the record protected against future appeals. That matters, because appellate courts often examine whether agencies genuinely tried reunification before seeking termination. The judge carefully documented service plans, visitation opportunities, and outreach attempts before terminating rights. The final tone of the hearing was revealing, too. The court sounded relieved talking about Isaiah's progress. That emotional shift matters. Once a judge starts speaking about the child's future with optimism instead of concern, the parent has usually already lost the case long before the ruling is officially read aloud.